Hello students, this is your part 2 on chapter 5, the fundamental unit of life. In this video, I am going to discuss with you cell membrane or plasma membrane, cell wall and nucleus. Okay, we'll see how does the movement of substances take place into the cell. How do substances move out of the cell? We'll see now. Some substances like carbon dioxide or oxygen can move across the cell membrane by the process called diffusion. Right? So, we'll see the definition, exact definition of the process. The spontaneous movement of a substance from a region of high concentration to the region of low concentration is called diffusion. So for example, carbon dioxide or oxygen can move across the cell membrane by the process called diffusion. Fine. Something similar to this happens in a cell. For example, some substance like carbon dioxide, which is the cellular waste and requires to be excreted out by the cell. So this carbon dioxide accumulates in high concentration inside the cell. In the cell's external environment, the concentration of the carbon dioxide is low as compared to that inside. As soon as there is a difference of concentration of CO2 inside and outside the cell, carbon dioxide moves out of the cell from the region of high concentration to a region of low concentration outside the cell by the process of diffusion. And similarly, oxygen enters the cell by the process of diffusion when the level or concentration of oxygen inside the cell decreases. Thus, this diffusion process plays an important role in the gaseous exchange between the cells as well as the cell and its external environment. Water also obeys the law of diffusion. We'll see. Next, we will see about osmosis process. The movement of water molecules through such a selectively permeable membrane is called osmosis. The movement of water across the plasma membrane is also affected by the amount of substance dissolved in water. Osmosis is the passage of water from a region of high water concentration through a semi-permeable membrane to a region of low water concentration. Plant cells tend to obtain water through osmosis process. What will happen if you put an animal cell or a plant cell into a solution of sugar or salt in water? Right? One of the following three things could happen. I have tabulated all the solution, condition and result. First we will see hypertonic solution. What will happen? This is the condition. Medium surrounding cell has higher water concentration than cell. This is the condition. And what will be the result? The cell will gain water by osmosis process and likely to swell up. And next we will see isotonic solution. Medium has exactly same water concentration as the cell. Then what is the result? Water crosses the cell membrane in both the direction. Cell will stay the same size. Next we will see hypertonic solution. Medium has lower concentration of water than the cell. Water crosses the cell in both the direction, but more water leaves the cell than enters it. So these are all the three solutions: hypertonic, isotonic and hypertonic solution, and the three conditions and the result as well. If we study a cell under a microscope, we would come across three features in almost every cell: plasma membrane, nucleus and cytoplasm. All the activities inside the cell and interaction of the cell with its environment are possible due to these features. Let us see how. Now let us see about cell membrane or plasma membrane. See, this is a cell membrane. The outermost covering of the cell that separates the contents of the cell from its external environment. So this is the outermost layer of the cell. Second point, the plasma membrane allows or permits the entry and exit of some materials in and out of the cell. And third one is, it also prevents movement of the other materials. The cell membrane is called selectively permeable membrane. So this will allow few materials in and out of the cell, and it will prevent the movement of other materials also. It is made up of lipid and protein. Important. It is made up of lipid and protein. So we'll see about the properties of plasma membrane. It is flexible. Why? It is made up of organic molecules called lipids and proteins. Its flexibility enables the cell to engulf in food and other from the external environment. So this process is called endocytosis. What is endocytosis process? It is a process of capturing a substance or particle from outside the cell by engulfing it with the cell membrane and bringing it into the cell. So where it will happen? This process is happening inside amoeba. Okay, let us see the function of cell membrane. As it is selectively permeable membrane, it allows the flow of limited substances in and out of the cell. This is a property of cell membrane. Let us see about cell wall. Cell wall is another rigid outer covering in addition to plasma membrane. Found in plant cell. Only in plant cell, not in animal cell. We'll see in detail. So cell wall is the rigid outer covering in addition to the plasma membrane found in plant cell. The cell wall lies outside the plasma membrane. So second point is, plant cell wall is mainly composed of cellulose. Cell wall is mainly composed of cellulose. Cellulose is a complex substance which provides structural strength to plants. Okay, this is about cell wall. So this is the outermost covering of the plant cell. Okay, not the animal cell. It is made up of cellulose. So cellulose will give the structural strength to plants. Now let's see the functions of cell wall. Cell wall permit the cells of plant, fungi and bacteria to withstand very dilute external media without bursting. So this is the first function of cell wall. And second one, in such media, the cell tend to take up water by osmosis. The cell swells, building up pressure against the cell wall. The cell wall exerts equal pressure against the swollen cell. Because of cell wall, cells can withstand much greater changes in the surrounding medium than animal. So plant have to survive in the surrounding. So cell wall is the main feature. This will give the rigid support. Plasmolysis process. When a living plant cell loses water through osmosis, there is shrinkage or contraction of the contents of the cell away from the cell wall. Okay, we'll see this. Shrinkage of protoplasm away from the cell wall of a plant cell or bacterium. So there will be a gap between the cell wall and the plasma membrane. You can see in this diagram. So picture A is normal cell. There will not be any gap between your cell wall and the plasma membrane. It is attached normally. Okay. Then in diagram B and C, you can see there is a contraction. Okay. There will be a gap between the cell wall and the plasma membrane. There is a gap. Okay. So this is due to the loss of water through osmosis process. So picture D, this is plasmolyzed cell. So all the cell parts, cell contents are contracted or shrinked in a particular place. There are two types of plasmolysis. One is concave plasmolysis and convex plasmolysis. In concave plasmolysis, the contraction of the protoplasm and the plasma membrane resulted in concave pockets. So it is nothing but there is a still point of attachment between the cell wall and the protoplasm. There will be one point of attachment between the protoplasm and the cell wall. So in that condition, still the process is reversed with the hypotonic solution. The process can be reversed. The next type is convex plasmolysis. So in this type, the plasmolysis that is irreversible. In this case, the plasmolyzed cell is spherical protoplast that completely detaches from the cell wall. There will not be any gap, any contact between the protoplasm and the cell wall, or plasma membrane and the cell wall. There will not be any contact between these two. So this is completely irreversible. So two types of plasmolysis I said. One is concave, another is convex plasmolysis. Okay, let us see about the another important cell organelle, that is nucleus. It is the brain of the cell. So why it is called so? Because it controls all the activities of cell. It is called brain of the cell. Why? It controls all the activities of cell. So it contains nuclear pore, chromatin, nucleolus, nucleoplast, nuclear envelope. So very important. It consists of 5 important parts: nuclear pore, chromatin, nucleolus, nucleoplast, and nuclear envelope. Okay, so let us see composition of nucleus. The nucleus has double layered covering called nuclear membrane or nuclear envelope. The nuclear membrane has pores which allow the transfer of material from inside the nucleus to cytoplasm. Very important. So nuclear pore, there is a pore between the nuclear envelope or nuclear membrane. So what is the function of this? Nuclear membrane has pores which allow the transfer of material from inside the nucleus to cytoplasm. Very important. The nucleus contains chromosomes which are visible as rod-shaped structures only when the cell is about to divide. So nucleus contains chromosomes. We will see the function of chromosome in the next slide. Let us see about functions of chromosome. We all know chromosome contain information for inheritance of features from parent to next generation in the form of DNA. So this is the chromosome which will transfer the information from parent to the next generation in the form of DNA. Chromosomes are composed of DNA and protein. Okay, where it is? It is inside the nucleus. Okay, so this is called chromosome and this is the DNA structure. DNA molecules contain the information necessary for constructing and organizing the cell. Functional segments of DNA are called genes. In non-dividing cell, the DNA is present as part of chromatin material. For non-dividing cell, in non-dividing cell, DNA is present as a part of chromatin material. Chromatin material is visible as thread-like structure. Whenever the cell is about to divide, the chromatin material gets organized into chromosomes and perform cell division. Now we'll see about the functions of nucleus. As I told you, nucleus is the brain of the cell as it controls all the activities of the cell. The nucleus plays a central role in cellular reproduction. It is the process by which a single cell divides and forms two new cells. So it is also plays an important role in cellular reproduction. Okay, and it also plays a crucial part. Okay, while the cell development and the chemical activities of the cell, it is also directing the chemical activities of the cell and the cell development also. In this video, I covered cell membrane or plasma membrane, cell wall and nucleus, and a few processes like plasmolysis, diffusion and osmosis I covered. And in my next video, I'll cover rest of the cell organelles. Thank you.